are dying pretty good.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Alright, just one second. Woo! Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Quintin. Most of you know me as Q, and I'm the project lead of Studio Kismet. Today, I'm proud to show off what our project is, what we've been working on, and what our plans are for the future. But before we get into any of that, here's a little teaser of what's to come. So, everybody in the bridge, welcome to Everent, our skyboarding game. Everent is a skyboarding game set in the skies of Stratos, a strange floating city with an even stranger history. Players will be riding around and climbing with a special board that lets them ride on almost any surface. Whether it be buildings, terrain, vertical or horizontal, our board can ride it. Our game features platforming of a whole different breed. They aren't just climbing and riding around on platforms going on the horizontal plane. We are asking players to literally think in all 3 dimensions. They're going to be climbing and riding around all over the place. Our game asks players to rethink the way they go about platforming. Not just horizontal travel, but vertical as well. We've got a lot to showcase today, a lot to get through, but we're very excited. So first, let's jump into the world of Everent. Our game is set in the land of Stratos, a nation made up of 3 floating cities that are meant to be connected by a large flowing wind current. The top island, pictured over here, Kylorum, is the governing body of Stratos and makes all of the decisions and laws for this place. They keep people living in terrible and horrible conditions for reasons that players will discover as they ascend. The top island feeds propaganda, lies, and indoctrination to the rest of the islands and keeps people separated. They've cut off the wind flow so people can't come together. Each island is being told a different story about what happened to the rest of Stratos. The governing body of Kylorum, called the Halcyon Heart, believes that they have perfected society. And the only way to achieve that perfection comes at the expense of the other people of these islands. Players will climb through the city and skies of Stratos and eventually liberate the people of this world. So let's meet who they'll be playing as for the journey. This is Ollie. They are who players will be experiencing the world of Stratos through. Ollie is a stranger to Stratos and will be experiencing the world as the player does. As a rebel at heart, they'll witness the oppression set forth by the top island and liberate the people of Stratos. Ollie is sort of meant to be a conduit for the player, so they won't be speaking too much as the game goes on, but they will be keeping a journal that players can read about as they find interesting things here on Stratos. And that's who Ollie is. Let's talk about what Ollie can do and jump into our mechanics. Let's begin with our most core mechanic, Ollie's board, the Windsweeper. So, on the ground, the Windsweeper controls like a normal board. You can go forward, backward, brake, turn, reverse, jump, etc. And here's some clips of that. However, in the air is where it starts to get interesting. Because with the left stick, you can rotate on every axis. Whether this is to orient yourself with where you're going, or to do some tricks, you can spin that way. So here are some examples of that. On the left, you can see pitch and yaw, and on the right, yeah, you can see some rolling in place. And lastly, let's talk about wall riding. Like I said earlier, the board can ride almost any surface it comes into contact with, as long as the player orients the bottom of the board with the surface that they're trying to ride. So here's some example of the anti-gravity in action. You can see the player riding the side of a wall and jumping off with the air rotation to align themselves with the floor. Next, let's talk about boosting. Boosting is a major part of our game, as it's the primary way to gain speed. Players have a resource, and they can hold the button down to gain speed. On the ground, it just provides a simple speed boost. However, in the air, it's a force that pushes the player character forward, so they can quite literally use it to fly around the skies. On the left is the simple speed boost, and you can see the UI bar on the bottom. And on the right, you can see the player using it to fly around the skies. Next, let's talk about the wind sail. Like I said earlier, there are wind currents all around the world of Everent. The sail is how the player can interact with those wind currents. Popping open the sail while in a wind current has the player catch the wind, and they can quite literally ride the wind currents. We use these to give players a little bit of a break while traversing, and to put them in extremely specific locations. So here on the left, you can see the player popping open the board, and on the right, the player using it to traverse the game. And finally, we have our last board mechanic, which is power sliding. Power sliding is our way of giving the player a little bit more control over the speed that they'll be gaining. They'll be going very, very fast in our game, and achieving that sort of flow state is very important to us. So we've given players the ability to press a button and drift along the floor. This gives them more control over turns than they normally would have, and it lets them bank some of that speed and boost if they drift for long enough. So you can see the player here hooking a turn that they normally can't make, and using the speed boost to make that jump off a ramp. And so that's it for the board. Let's talk about some of our tertiary mechanics. First of all, our smart respawn system. We've got a unique platformer that required a unique sort of fail state. We don't know where the players could be ending up with the way that they can traverse and fly. So we've got a system that's constantly trying to find their last safe location. These are dependent on the player's character's speed and their orientation, but just know that the game is constantly trying to find where you were last safe. So you can see the player here on the left interacting with a kill volume in our level, and the player on the right bumping into some of the level's geometry, both sending them back to the exact same place. Lastly, let's talk about destruction. Ollie's main objective is to liberate the people of Stratos. To represent this, Ollie can literally smash through certain objects in our levels. It's dependent on the character's velocity, so players will have to maintain a certain speed or find the speed in order to smash through some of our objectives. So here's an example of our destruction system. We're using Unreal Engine's Chaos Destruction, combined with our own velocity, to literally break through the barriers of this society. So let's talk about our project management stuff. This is how much time we've spent putting into the project so far. From first semester, we put in a little bit of extra work, and hours up until now. And this is how much time we've got left remaining. We've got a lot of time, and I'm going to be throwing up a lot of numbers here, but this is, to sum it up, I also want to talk about what our project's goals are. For this game to be considered complete, our team wants to build 3 levels. That's 1 for each of our islands. It's a lot of work, but we've got 4 very talented level designers who are more than up for the challenge. The other thing we'd really like to do with this game is eventually do a Steam release. We don't want to charge any money for this because of all the legal problems that come with it, but we do want to eventually build up to that. So moving on, let's start talking about the content we've already developed and how long it took us to produce it. We're showing this so you can see just why we're so confident about being able to build these 3 levels. Well, first of all, let's start with Ollie. Ollie themselves took us about 82 hours to produce. That's everything from the final character model, the rigging, including all of the other previous designs that we scrapped going forward. However, we don't plan on building as many characters as complicated as Ollie, but there are a few other characters that we can talk about. Everyone's favorite, the modular fish. So, to make our world feel a little bit more fantastical and mystical, we've got fish that are flying around with Ollie in the world. We've got 3 models currently in engine. They are rigged and have some of their base textures and are animated, but the final texturing has yet to be done. These 3, the jellyfish, the butterfly koi, and the manta ray, are specific to the top island of Kylorum. These ones took us about 13 hours to produce. Again, these have yet to be fully textured, but we've rigged and animated the butterfly koi, which took us about an extra 3 hours. And we would like to build 3 fish per island, so that would be 6 more fish for us to develop. And here they are in-game. Next, let's talk about our environments. We're building modularly to save our artists some time, and these are pieces from the top island. We've got about 76 of them. As of this moment, we have completed all of the art for the top island of Kylorum. After Vertical Slice, we're set to start production of Island 2's art. That's Erebus, or the factory island. And the bottom island will be using a mix of pieces from this island and the bottom one. So yeah, total of 76. Next, let's talk about our special assets or hero assets. The board took us about 44 hours to produce total. That's everything down from the modeling, the texturing, the rigging, and the animation. We've also got these spires. These are the devices that the top island are using to restrict the wind flows of the different islands. This only took us about 7 hours to produce, which is quite a big difference, and we've only got one more hero asset left to produce. We estimate it'll take us about 30 hours to produce that one. Where we are extremely proud, where is he? Where's Kiet? There he is. We have managed to produce over 40 different animations in just about 100 hours. It takes us an average of 2.5 hours to produce one animation. So that's animations for the character and the board itself and the sails. Yeah, so that's over 40 different pieces in about 107 hours, all thanks to one person. Where's he? Yeah. Now, that sounds like a lot, but we've still got a few more to go. We plan on animating some tricks, the fish, and a few more objects in our levels. Speaking of which, let's talk about our levels. So, again, we are planning on producing 3 of these. We've already gotten started with some of our blockouts. They have gameplay, and they have some art assets in, but we're not just quite ready yet. As I said earlier, Island 3 is all but complete, but this is Island 1, also known as Ventus. As I said before, this island is going to be using a mix of art from the top island and the middle island. This is both for narrative reasons and to save us some time. The people of this island, the propaganda that they've been fed, or I guess have come to believe, is that the rest of Stratos has been destroyed. They have no contact with the other 2 islands, and the only thing they receive are debris from the top 2 islands. So again, it's us finding a way to tie our art to our narrative and a clever way of reusing our assets. Island 2 is the factory island. This blockout took us about 35 hours to produce. This island, its people believe that working here hard and a lot is pious. It's not just good, it's holy. They've been taught their whole lives that they have to work hard because they should, and that's all they've ever known. They produce everything for the 3rd island. Can you tell which one's our favorite? Hylorum. Here, all of the decisions and laws for Stratos get made. While they live wealthy and in opulence, they live extremely strict and rigid lives. They are controlled by an entity known as the Halcyon Heart, which is the final hero asset we're planning to build. They believe that they have, or the Heart believes that they have perfected society, and that the conditions that they put the other people through, or the other islands through, is the means to achieve that perfection. So, yeah, those are our islands. We've spent a lot of time getting the gameplay right. They are fun to go through at this moment, but we are ready to keep adapting them based on our playtests. And speaking of our playtests, I'd like to tell you about our playtesting. At Kismet, we are very proud of the way that we handle our playtests. We have them every Friday at 4 p.m., except for probably this Friday, because we're taking a little bit of a break. But please feel free to come by if you'd like to playtest with us. I'm not going to get into the depths of the methodology for this, but the one thing I do want to say is that this methodology lets us turn really squishy, qualitative, and subjective data into something more concrete. It lets us quantify the things that our players are feeling. We've had about 3 playtests, 2 of which are focused on our board. What you just saw was based on our first playtest, and this is what was based on our second playtest. And just with 3 playtests alone, we were able to improve the feel of our stuff significantly. But if you don't believe me, I'd like to show you all a little video of what our game was like throughout our playtesting period. So this is my favorite part.
Game board feel. Oh, I immediately die. The instinct to, and oh, big step. But oh, I'm stuck in. Okay.
Like, I want like a,
I think it's really cool.
Please proceed to at least a goal.
Girl,
You got to turn into hair.
Yeah.
That feels great. Like this right here, getting actually into here feels great.
is this big tricks?
Yeah, they feel pretty good, I think. Oh. Okay, that's fun actually. Is that intended?
Like this, that felt good.
Okay.
That was like a gradual, like, oh, like that.
Yeah, so you can see that with our playtesting methodology, we can get a lot of things feeling good and feeling right. Oh, no. So, that's everything that we've produced so far. This is our capacity at the moment. We aren't necessarily building this, but we have the ability to produce 194 more modular pieces, 77 more animations, at least 15 more fish, and we are set to produce one more hero asset. Now, are we going to be specifically doing that? No. But that begs the question, what are we going to be doing? Yes, Cheryl, don't worry. We're not building that much. So our projected date for alpha is set to be June 29th. So after this day, we are going to be doing nothing but bug fixing and polishing. That gives us March, April, May, and all of June to still do stuff. So what are we going to be doing? This is a lot. I'm not going to be talking about each thing that we're going to be expected to do each month. But this is our roadmap, and these are the expected milestones we're going to hit. So first of all, for March, we're expecting to have, by the end of March, we are expecting to have our blockouts done. That's each island. We're also looking to have the tertiary mechanics, like power sliding, rail grinding, etc., feeling good and looking right. By April, Kylorum is expected to be fully set dressed and lit. Also, all of the modular architecture and assets that we've been building, we're expecting to have them done by this time. This is also when we're going to start implementing a heat map for our playtesting. Again, playtesting is very important, and we want to be measuring where the players tend to fly in our levels. Our levels are very open, so that's important data to us. By the end of May, our other two levels should be set dressed. Our mechanics and our camera polished as well. By this time, our tutorialization should be ready, or close to ready as well. This is a very interesting and unique game, and we're looking into ways that we can teach players how to play it as best as they can. So by this point, we should know how to teach them. And by June, everything should be in its final stages and ready for polishing. If it looks like there isn't a lot here, that's correct. We are budgeting. This is our buffer time, or the time that we are allotting for when things go wrong or when we need to adapt. We're budgeting at about 80% capacity right now, and this is the time that we've spent to adapt and change things if they are necessary. And those are our major milestones all the way to August. Again, all of July is just for bug fixing and polishing, and August is when we expect to release the game. And that's pretty much it, what we've got for the presentation. You can find our LinkedIn page up there if you want to stay updated, and you can follow our Spotify playlist if you would like to hear a list of songs that we would really want to have in the game, but we can't have it because of legal purposes. But that's Studio Kismet. Thank you very much. And Andrew, let's get into our gameplay demo.
Yes.
Let us show off. I can't believe they made Ollie real. Oh yeah, if you haven't noticed, we're kind of rocking the Ollie gear, by the way.
All right, we'll plug in.
Are you on the right? There it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kylorum.
So as you can see, we're up here in the sky, at the very top. And now let's get moving.
Yeah. Why don't you show off a little bit of wall riding?
Let's go.
Look at that beautiful vista. So you can see Andrew here flying using the boost. We'll get a little bit of power sliding in. There you go. And this is Andrew using the wind current to ride across the skies. Some wall riding right here. And using the boost to control themselves in the air. Oh! And that's our death and respawn system. So again, this is our vertical slice. Everything here, all of this art is finished. And all of the particle effects as well. All right. Okay, so this is a jump Andrew has been working on for a little bit. Let's see if we can make it Can everybody
See it?
hype Andrew up, please? Yes, yes, can you throw the needle?
Come on!
Hey.
Oh, one of those accursed spires.
Yes, these are the spires that Ollie's going to be trying to find throughout most of the game.
I'll do one more for my fans.
And there was never any doubt.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is our vertical slice. If you've got more time, I'd like to show you guys what the gameplay looks like when it's flowing, when it's really flowing. We'll take you to a place that's not finished, there's no art or whatever in it, but it's a better sense of what the game looks like when you're using all of the traversal options in one area. Andrew, why don't we hop over to the actual Kylo blockout?
Alright. I'm just gonna get going, Q.
Yep.
Hit this wall instead. Jump this wall very quickly. Up right here.
So this is the current state of the Kylo Ren blockout. A bit of a power slide. Ooh, yeah. One thing we learned again through playtesting is that a lot of people, even if the board wasn't controlling too well, were constantly trying to do tricks. So we've rewarded them by when the player does a flip in the air, you get a little bit of boost back, and you can keep flying.
Alright, I'll line this one up. There's some destruction coming up for you fans in the audience.
Woo! Whoa! This is from the trailer. There, you can see the boost come back a little bit when you do a flip like that.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just finished. Thank you very much. All right, we'll open the floor up for questions and feedback. I'll invite my leads to come down here with me in case we have questions that I can't answer. Thank you very much, everybody.
Is that you back there? Nitin?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear from Nitin.
Hi, Nitin.
Great stuff. It's looking really good. I love the hoverboard. I think it adds a great feel to it. I think going back, starting from the start, I think the teaser that you showed was a cool idea. I think the cuts were really, really fast.
Okay.
So it kind of like distracted rather than being like, okay, what is going on? You like get into it and then you're taken out. So I would just like pull that a little bit more stuff into it. How are you differentiating which walls are to be broken versus just go kill them would be interesting to see. I know you have like a red wall right there
Yes.
in this show, but you also have a lot of walls ready to sky. So I think that'll be interesting. I would like to see if you can add some form of camera panning or something when you're boosting so that we know that there's a difference.
Oh yeah.
You said for the first level the textures are completely done.
This island, yes. This island, almost all the art is completely done. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of their textures look like they're repeating.
Oh, scratch that. The textures are not finished.
For the previous one.
Yeah, they're flats.
Okay. Okay, so then that's different. Another thing is, since the lighting is so flat, it would be very hard for people to know where they're going if they're playing for the first time and they're not used to open world. Because you can go anywhere and you can also wall jump. So like which wall jumps are like wall runs are actually required and which are not. So it might be a little important to either light it in such a way that you can tell them where to go. I've also seen like people do like pointers. I generally don't like them, but it depends on you. Art-wise, I think the character looks really good. I feel when it jumps, you might want to like bring the board a little closer. Sometimes they also like hold the board, touch the board, or like just
Yeah.
move the body in such a way. So I think that will be interesting to add that sort of an element to it. I love the skyboxes. They kind of don't gel with the lighting for now. It would be nice to see how you can like bring them together and make them pop out a little bit more. Also, okay, so you said textures are not done. Are the modeling done for all the assets?
Yes.
Okay, there's a lot of sharp edges on those still. I would see if I can smooth them out a little bit and make them look a little bit more. But these are not like, oh, you won't get to that. I'm sure you'll get to that. These are just some things that I think you can like iterate on. Not to take away from the fact that your character looks really, really good. It flies really well. I love the mechanics that you have going on that. The hoverboard and all of that looks really good. I love the power slide, and then it has some form of animation. I think I would like to see a boost bar as well, somewhere around
There is one, but we're already aware it's not reading
Yeah.
the way we want it to.
Yeah, so like something prominent that you can like show somewhere that, okay, especially for someone like me who is not that fluent as all you are with these kind of games. So it will be helpful, but I think you're doing a great job, and 3 levels are a lot, but I think seeing all the progress that you've made so far doesn't make me feel like, oh, it's a very, very stretch goal and you won't be able to get that. So I think you've done a great job as a team. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Yes.
Girl.
Boy, Nitin stole my thunder.
Yeah.
I had a lot of the same comments. I think the animations look great. Good job.
Yeah.
The board mechanics look great. I think the levels look good, except the playability is a little unclear. It is open world, but I'm not sure like what I'm supposed to be doing. So
Yes.
you're going to have to guide the player, especially if you want
Yeah.
them to hit certain goals.
That's a challenge we're already running into, but but through our playtesting and the ways that we're researching and iterating upon these levels, we're sure we're going to find a solution.
Okay. I love the board playtesting video. That was fun. The art assets were the same questions I had with finish with shaders, textures, like, yeah, and the edges. I think I've mentioned it to you all once before, like add bevels where you can use level of detail to load and unload them as you get closer, so that gives it a more professional finished look instead of just like, okay, this plane's done and now I've got this one edge. Those are my notes.
So, I'm super impressed with what you guys showed. So just help me out. You showed your modular pack. You guys made all the assets, right?
That's all us. That's all. That's not all us. That's all Chandler.
Okay. I think that deserves a round of applause. So although you don't have the finished textures and everything, you are building in a way that I kind of hope everybody takes note of, because you make the shapes, it's very clear what you're making, you get to hand that off to other departments. They're actually building with the real shapes.
Oh yeah.
So there's not going to be any real surprises later whenever we go to update those assets. I do think it should probably be a smooth process getting this from where it sits to final thing, because it's just kind of like dropping in new materials, new textures and everything. I like that you guys were very consistent with how you put some tasteful color on there. Nothing's like obnoxious. I do get a sense of where I think this can go. When you first showed the shots of the skybox and everything, I was like, ooh, maybe that's a little bit too much. But as you guys are in the environment, I think it is starting to work. Again, like the last team, I think lighting will become like a really big tool for you and how you can really bring everything together. So overall, I'm very impressed with all the work that you put together. As I was watching you play the game, I was hopeful that there might be some times whenever the camera could actually get a little bit closer to the character, so it wouldn't just be this far out kind of view that you have.
We can actually speak about the camera a little bit, Andrew.
Sure. I think it's a totally valid point, and I'm very proud of the iteration that we've been doing on our camera work. That one of the unique challenges of having 6 axes to handle is the camera following those 6 axes. So that's where most of our camera dev time has gone in this initial state. But I absolutely agree that having it do those little moments of things are going to be part of our next steps.
And then when I was at EA, one of the last titles I got to work on was SSX Tricky. I don't know if you've
Wait,
seen that.
that's one of our, yeah.
So as I'm watching this, I'm like, man, this is, I can see where it's going, right? And then your audience is already telling you they want to do tricks,
Yep.
so just don't ignore that, right?
Oh yeah, don't worry.
I think you have a really cool combination. My next question would be, like, I want to get some enemy types somewhere on the screen, or know that there's some danger of some sort, like everything feels a little bit safe. I think Shirley mentioned this, that I don't know exactly which wall is like something that could actually hurt me if I run into it, versus it just feels like everything is just like a plus right now, and there's no downside. Maybe it's just because you guys are so great at playing the game. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the work that you guys did.
Thank you.
It's a nice job. And that logo looks awesome too.
Hey.
Yeah.
The game logo.
The game logo.
Oh, the game logo. Okay.
That one's not bad either.
Yeah, the game logo is pretty awesome.
Alright, so we have a faculty except for me. Cool. Looked like you had something to say when Nick started talking about enemies.
Oh, we don't plan on having any combat. We are looking into ways to make the sense of danger there. We're already aware that it's maybe lacking a bit in that department. But we've spent a lot of time focusing on getting the board feeling right and we spent a lot of time getting the board into a state where we're comfortable with that. Yeah.
So I think the reason kind of Nick asked about enemies is because this is actually, so there's parts of this that are really cool. I really love the board mechanics. I can see the control on it. I can see where the active flying would be fun, and that's like job one with this type of game is actually make locomotion a fun part of the game. I really like the idea of being able to orient your board is how you actually fly, and if you can't orient the board properly, then you're going to fall and die, and I like that. One of the things that large, expansive worlds like this tend to, where they suffer, especially in a FIEA-like environment, is they are going to feel empty. So you've got these delivery fish. Who are they delivering for? There's no people in this world. This world is completely empty. And bringing it to life, it's going to take more than just a few wind swirls and moving clouds and some flying fish.
Yeah.
So I think that's something you can actually afford to put some time and thought into. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad guys.
Yeah.
People are actively trying to kill you. But right now, the music, it has if I had to find a word to describe like the emotional tone of the music, it's pastoral. And I don't think that's what you want. But the world has that feel too. I got these slow-moving clouds, I got this pastoral music, and then I got this character doing these SSX tricky stunts, and there's a sort of a mismatch there.
Okay.
And I think it adds on to it the fact that the world is empty.
Okay.
We've had a lot of FIEA games in the past that have tried these large, expansive worlds, and they all suffer from the same thing. They feel empty. And when they're empty, they feel flat, they feel static. So in no way is that like a knock on this game. Like, this is actually way farther along than most games are at vertical slice. All games are empty at vertical slice. It's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
And you can take it for what it's worth, but like honestly right now I would invest everything in trying to make this world feel more alive than in worrying about building up 3 levels.
Okay.
You have a great mechanic. It just looks fun as hell.
It is.
I think, and that's the core of it, and I think you've already scored on that. I think there's some polished things that you'll put into it a little bit. That sound effect that she makes or Ollie makes when they launch or land is very repetitive. It's great once or twice, but especially because it doesn't feel super impactful.
Yeah.
I think with a game like this where you are trying to sort of give us the sense of flying, you have to look for those impactful moments. And flying is cool, flying is going to be fluid and stuff like that. When you crash into a wall, it needs to be more impactful. A sense of danger has to be more impactful. I think you can, they're absolutely right with working hard on the lighting to provide some sort of mood in this thing. And I'll have to see what the world looks like when it's textured. I do feel like, to a certain degree, you know, I look at the buildings and they're very sort of minimalist, and the character is not, and the board is the least minimalist of all. And so I'm kind of wondering about like how does all this stuff get unified a little bit, so that the character, that board it's really, really cool. Somebody did a great job on that, especially when you put the wings out and everything. That's just amazing. But then you look at some of those very rectangular, flat-shaded buildings in the distance, and even if you put textures on them, it feels like they're two different art styles.
Okay.
Not saying either one is bad. You can go with a minimalist style, or you can go with something that's a little bit more detailed and painterly. But for me, at least, they're mismatching a little bit.
Okay.
I think you can do. We don't have much UI. And a lot of games, that's a conscious decision.
Yes.
And so that's fine. That little angle underneath of the character is your boost meter, I guess.
Yes.
You know, for whatever it's worth, why isn't it centered under the board? Why is the board off to the left of the point of that meter? Little things like that, you might as well. I think you are in a place right now where if it was me, and I don't want to crush anybody's dreams, I would abandon the other two levels immediately and throw everything on one level, whichever level you want, and get that perfect. You know me, I'm always calling for that. I'm always calling for scope reduction and take what you've got and make it perfect. This is one of those games, though, that I think it's so far advanced by the end of February. You literally could spend the next 4 months just working on nothing but this level and just finding all those little polished values and making it awesome. I think you probably find, though, that you don't really need to take the whole team to do that. You can probably, all of the little polished things will carry from level to level. Whatever special effects you do, whatever you do with the UI, whatever you do with the 3Cs. And so you probably can afford to have one or two little small person strike teams working on the other levels. But the bulk of the team should just be working on, like, put everything in one level and everybody sort of do everything relevant to that level. And then your other teams, when they're ready and kind of finished off, most of this stuff will probably drop in.
Okay.
So for what it's worth, I don't know what your performance is.
Oh, it's stable. We forgot to throw up the
Right. So I don't want to hear your excuses. I've mentioned the PMs in PM class more than once. I want to see a frame rate up on the screen. And so, like, don't give me your crap. Just put it on the screen next time.
Okay.
I suspect it looks good. It looks like your frame rate's probably pretty smooth, and especially I don't think this environment feels like it's going to stress it too much. Although there are certain points I wanted to see the frame rate, like when you go through the wind tunnel things, and that's going to be a big particle effect, and that could potentially slow you down. I don't know. I want to see those things. So just a point of note. When you first went into the game, I'm trying to remember that far back, you know me, I also have my little mantra that I sing that people want to stick the little pins in the Rick Voodoo doll. You started in a very uninspiring vista, like in a little alleyway or something, and then you kind of came around this corner and we see this big city, and the big city looks really cool. Like, you should start there.
Okay.
Don't start when you drop in the game, start in a place that is uninspiring looking. You just went around the corner, like, 5 seconds and you had a vista. So just start there. Put that rose-colored lens over my eyes really fast.
Okay.
I'll be curious to see, like, kind of how you accomplish. I know you put in there somewhere in your schedule some what do you say? Harden your tutorialization with something in your
Yes,
schedule?
that's one of the major challenges we've noticed through playtesting is, you can see us flying, and when you get a hold of the game and practice it, like, it makes sense.
I understand that, but I was listening to the videos you showed, and I could hear people on the team sort of giving instructions a little bit, and that's fine because it's necessary at this stage. But like, you have to put some thought into how because you don't get sold with the box or on Steam, right? So you have to give some thought to how you're going to present that in a way that feels organic. And I'm really not a giant fan of these like canned tutorials that are super boring. I think you have to find a way. For me, think about your first 3 minutes of gameplay, and how do you make those first 3 minutes of gameplay super exciting. Like first 15 seconds of gameplay is giving that vista something really cool. But then, you know, in the next minute or two, the player has to really feel like they've done something like amazingly cool. There has to be some kind of agency in there. And that can be, there's always a competition between the agency of feeling cool in the first 3 minutes and tutorialization. So you have to find something simple that they could do that could still feel like very impactful and amazing. So give some thought to stuff like that. I think there was something else that I had in my head. You probably got more special effects in mind. You probably got more sound effects in mind. So I kind of withhold judgment on that. I think those things can get you some traction on getting more drama into the game and more of a sense of agency. But like I said, right now, given the static nature of the world and that music, while the music is very cool, between those two, I think it's feeling much more pastoral than you want it to. And so something's got to sort of introduce more of a live wire in there. We already heard some comments about, you know, in a big open world, not only do you have to tutorialize the player on how to fly, you also have to tutorialize the player on what the goal of the game is. You know, where do we need to go? You've got tricks. Do the tricks serve any purpose? Is there a scoring system?
When you flip, you get some of the boost bar back.
So you need to make that obvious to the player that there's a benefit to doing these things. And personally, I'm more of a fan of you do the trick and you get some sort of mechanical benefit rather than you do the trick and we just increase a number. But I like that better. It's sort of more in-game organic. So that's good. It was unclear to me when you were describing the mechanics of the game, but the way you described it, which is probably just poor interpretation on my part, it sounds like you could fly at a height ad nauseum forever.
No, it's just about until you run out of boost.
Right, and so that's fine. And again, then we definitely need to draw more attention to the boost meter. And then what happens? If you're flying through the air and you run out of boost, you just fall out of the sky and die, or?
Yeah, you can spin to gain some boost back.
So you don't die. I launch off that building and I'm using the boost and I'm 400 feet above the ground and I run out of boost. What happens?
Assuming you don't land on anything, yeah, you die.
What does land on anything? So if I keep the board oriented properly when I go down,
if you manage to like clip a building, yeah, and the board's oriented with it, yeah, you'll catch it.
Okay,
you'll
so
get the ride it somewhere.
And that's fine. Again, sort of. Somehow I need the player to know this.
Okay.
There's a lot of what's going on. I didn't really know it from your description, and that's fine. It's a perfectly acceptable explanation. But there's a lot of things that the players has to know how to do. Yeah. And you definitely want to find ways to tutorialize that are actually still engaging. I love the progress. It's a really cool concept. It's a very advanced mechanic for February, whatever we are, 24th. This feels like this could really be a great game. I don't want to end on all the stuff I said is small shit. I think I'm not actually giving you any negative comments on what you've done, because I like that. Yeah. This is just how I think you can
improve
carve
more
some details on it and improve it. So, really good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.